Hi, this is Stan Bush.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calvert.
This is John Payne.
This is Jack Hughes.
Hey everyone, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen.
Hey everybody, this is Prescott Niles.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevens.
Hello, I'm Kofi Baker.
Listening to Play That Rock and Roll.
This is not a test. This is Play That Rock and Roll. I'm your host, Joe K, and today is the last of 3 episodes that feature our coverage of ROCKNPOD 2025. I previously posted my panel discussion with Mark White about his documentary, Y&T On With The Show, and also my interviews with Billy Sheehan and Brian Forsyth. This episode features 3 of the interviews I conducted at ROCKNPOD 2025, and the first is with Robert Fleischman. Robert Fleischman is a singer-songwriter who previously worked with some big-name bands like Journey and the Vinnie Vincent Invasion. He was at ROCKNPOD to promote his new solo album, Emotional Atlas, which is made up of electronic and atmospheric music. Definitely a little different from most of the music being promoted at ROCKNPOD, but still very cool. In this interview, Robert talks about where the inspiration for this album came from, which is both heartbreaking but also beautiful. Robert is a great example of someone who can channel intense emotional pain into an impressive piece of art. It was also very interesting to hear his perspective on the importance of artistic independence, and he even told me a little about his time with Journey. So there's a lot going on in this conversation. Just a heads up, this was actually my last interview of the day, and my camera ran out of battery just before we wrapped up. So there's no video for the last 2 minutes or so. My second interview is with JEANNE BasonE, aka Hollywood from Glow, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Subscribers to this channel might remember that I previously interviewed JEANNE at ROCKNPOD in 2023. In that interview, JEANNE told me that she was working on her memoirs, and now that book is complete, so I was able to catch up with her and get some details about what's in it. This was also a fairly impromptu interview, as I didn't know JEANNE was going to be at ROCKNPOD until about a week before. She was there to sell copies of her new book, Hooray for Hollywood, but she made time for a quick visit over to my booth, which was a real treat. Finally, our last interview is with Tom Zutaut. Tom Zutaut is a legendary figure in the A&R world of rock and roll. He worked at Geffen Records back in the 80s and was a major part of turning that label around when it was struggling. He did this by signing hard rock groups like Tesla, Motley Crue, and even Guns N' Roses. If you've seen The Dirt on Netflix, he's the guy who's played by Pete Davidson. In this interview, Tom talks about how he got started in the music business while he was still in high school, what it was like working for David Geffen, and he even shares his thoughts on that infamous lawsuit that Geffen had filed against Neil Young at the time. My interview with Tom was actually the first one I had scheduled that day. I've decided to close this episode out with it because, unfortunately, I had some technical problems with this one. The audio is just fine. But for whatever reason, my video camera cut out after the first couple of minutes. I was able to reformat the camera afterwards, so it worked for the rest of the day, but there is no video for most of my conversation with Tom. But don't skip out because of that. What Tom had to say was fascinating, and he shared some truly insane stories. So if you're an 80s rock fan, that's the interview you definitely want to hear. It was an absolute joy to speak to all 3 of these people, so I really appreciate the opportunities. And for that, I need to say thank you to Tracy McAndrew, who scheduled them for me. And I also need to thank all of the volunteers who made ROCKNPOD 2025 possible. You can find all of our guests on Instagram and Facebook, and I've posted links to all of their social media and websites in the description below. And with that, Here are my interviews from ROCKNPOD 2025 with Robert Fleischman, JEANNE Basonne, and Tom Zutaut.
Thank you, Joe, for having me.
All right, well, thank you for coming by. We are here with Robert Fleischman, who has a new album out, Emotional Atlas. Beautiful album cover. Congrats on getting that finished.
Thank you.
Okay, how do you feel, how does it feel when you get to the end of an album project like this?
Can't believe I did it.
Yes. Elation.
Well, I wrote probably close to 18 songs, and then I picked the best out of it. And so this album has 10 songs on it. It's over an hour of material, so that's why it had to be put on double disc. And you can hear it on Spotify and Apple, and you can hear it on YouTube in Dolby Atmos. So I recorded it and mixed it. I didn't record it in Dolby Atmos, but mixed it in Dolby Atmos. So I think I'm a little ahead of the curve, but all the new cars that are going to be coming out are going to have Dolby Atmos systems, and then most of the record companies will not take music from bands anymore unless it's going to be in Dolby Atmos, because that's going to be the format that's going to be the new format.
The new standard, yeah.
The new standard, yes.
Absolutely. Being ahead of the curve on that is very important. So let's go back to the origins of this project. I know there's a lot of emotion in this album. I've listened to it. The lyrics are very gripping, and the music is beautiful. This is definitely a metal convention, so this is a little different.
Well, yeah, I'm kind of like sacrilegious here. There's no guitars on here.
Well, as someone who did a lot of prep for today and listened to a lot of that metal music, this was kind of a nice relief. It was it broke it up a little bit. Thanks. And it's really beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you talk about how did this project get started? What were the origins of it, and how did it come together?
Well, it's a bittersweet story.
Right.
I dedicated the album to my wife. We battled cancer for 8 years. Finally, she got to the end, and she basically said, I want you to make the best album you ever made after I'm gone. Do it. And I think I did. It's the most adventurous album I've ever done. I'm the most proud of any album I've ever done. Great Lake View is probably, I feel like, the best song I ever wrote. It was the first song that I wrote when I started recording. When she was in hospice, excuse me, I would sit in this chair, and I would hold her hand and everything. And so when she passed, before she passed, she gave me a list of houses that she wanted me to see. She wanted me to move out of the house that we were in. And after 3 months of standing in the corner at night in the room where she passed, I had to get out. I was just, 3 months of driving myself nuts. So I said, where's that list? So I get the list and I call up our real estate friend, and she picked out like 4 or 5 houses. Each house had a body of water next to it.
Oh, okay.
So one had a creek going by it. Another one had a little pond in the backyard. Another one was a house built around a man-made lake.
Okay.
And then the last house was a house right on Lake Michigan. So I saw the house on Lake Michigan. I mean, Lake Michigan is like right there where that sign is over. Wow. It's right across the street.
Oh, that's wonderful.
It is beautiful. And so I bought the house. I went to a dinner party, and everybody's going, you got to do another album. I go, no, because for 6 years I did nothing but paint.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have a couple of art galleries that represent me, and so I did that for 6 years. I made really great money doing it. And so for 6 years it was really nice, and I never thought of doing another record. And and then after everybody's saying you got to do it, I drive home and I get in my room at the new house and I plunk this guitar and I go, I can't do this again. I can't write another album with guitars. It's just, I can't, the template, I'm just sick and tired of the template. So in the early 80s, around 82 and 83, I did I had a Prophet synthesizer, and then I would borrow synthesizers, and I started recording ambient music, making ambient music, and then some techno music. And so I did that in 83, 82, and I never got to release it. It was dormant until 2004, because back then you couldn't manufacture CDs.
Right.
So once you got to manufacture CDs, I thought, I'm going to release this stuff because it's my work. I'm going to put it out. I love it. So I did that. And so after plunking the guitar and saying I'm sick and tired of it, I decided I knew what I want to do. I want to revisit what I did. So I bought all kinds of synths, modules, got my whole room set up in my new house, and I needed a chair. And I grabbed the chair that I used to sit in with my wife. And the first song that I wrote was Great Lake View.
Great Lake View, Great Lake View, Great Lake View.
And then after that, it was like everything was just channeled from her. And like she said, yeah, I want you to make the best album you ever made before she passed. And I feel like I did. But like I said, I don't even know where it all came from. It just happened. And the other day I was thinking, I want to write another one. And I'm like, I don't even know where to begin. So since I finished that, I've done these string quartets with electronic music, like landscapes, and just inserting this classical element to it. So right now I got about 10 songs like that, and I'm going to present them to a label in England that puts out electronic music. So that's going to be finished pretty soon. And then after that, I don't know what I'm going to do after that. I might try to do another album like this, or might do another rock and roll album.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Or I might just go back to painting.
Oh, I was going to say, it sounds like you've had a resurgence of your love of creating music.
Oh, yeah.
When that had been dormant for a while.
Yeah. It was like, the dam was filling up and it needed to let loose some water,
Yeah. Well, that's so wonderful to hear. That's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that with me.
I mean, I'm not looking for sympathy or anything.
Oh.
It's a true story. It's true.
To me, it's inspirational. And I'm so glad that you mentioned Great Lake View, because that was the song that connected with me. I wonder if we lived near each other. I'm from Wisconsin. I live in Milwaukee. So,
I live in Racine.
Oh, hey, there you go. My girlfriend's from Racine. Oh, that's wonderful. Racine's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I saw that title, I thought, hey, I listened to that first, and I know what you're talking about with that view. It is a beautiful view. You can go up and down the lake.
Yeah.
On the right morning, it's magical.
It is. And I love the seasons too.
Yes.
I always thought that the greatest writers were the ones that lived in and experienced the seasons.
We're talking about a very heavy emotional topic. So I wonder, when you're writing, music and you're writing lyrics that deal with such heavy emotions, is it difficult for you in the creative process, or is it cathartic? Is it helpful?
It's it's kind of like in a zone, and I don't even touch that aspect. But then later on I listen to it, and I can listen to it and I'll get choked up at certain parts. And because I just think of my wife for certain parts.
Well, it sounds like on some level or another, you're processing these emotions as you're making this music.
Yeah.
It must have been, helpful for you in the long run, obviously.
Yeah, I just, like I said, she said, make the best one you can make, and that's what I did. And it's the most adventurous project I've ever done, and I'm very, very proud of it. I could die tomorrow and be happy that I left this as my legacy, let's say.
Well, one thing we definitely got to talk about is this album cover. What an awesome piece. Tell me about where you came up with the idea for the design and how did you put it together?
My friend Michael Webdell, he took photographs of me, and so I took one of the photographs of me there, and I've done collage all my life since I was 13. So it's basically a collage that you have for the album cover. So it's my collage. And if you go to my Instagram, you can see all my collages that I do on there.
Very active on social media with other pieces of art, and you've got other pieces through this too, right?
Yeah. We got.
Oh yeah.
We have this
Look at that.
insert and the blue vinyl.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You really went all out on this.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was expensive to do,
I would think so.
but I didn't care because it's my love. You know?
Yeah, it's worth it.
Here's the
Oh,
yellow.
look at that. Love it. I love color pieces.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I think it all pops. And there's a the lyrics are in here.
Okay. There we go.
So it's like a little bit of a poster,
Oh,
and then all the lyrics are on the back.
oh, nice. The whole thing has a very like sci-fi movie Blade Runner kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, because it's all electronic music.
Right. Yeah. So are you also a sci-fi guy? Do you like movies like that?
I'm a sci-fi guy to a certain point.
Yeah.
But I'm really a film noir buff.
Okay.
I love film noir. I love black and white old movies.
The classics.
Yeah. And then I like to go on YouTube and see all the B film noir.
Yeah.
That's on there. They don't make movies like that anymore.
No, and people forget about the old classics that are still there.
Like 4-second shots, bing, 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 bing.
Yeah.
It's
And all superheroes.
and it's like fast food.
Right.
It's just ding, 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 really fast, and oh yeah, I'm really full. I got it. No, I don't think you got it.
No, I don't think
You got
so.
an impression. You didn't get the whole meal. You didn't get to savor it.
Well put.
But with the but this album, I meant for it to be an album that was meant to be listened to. Like you put the needle on the first track, and you go on a little journey.
Yeah.
A lot of people say it's very kind of Pink Floyd-ish.
Yeah.
Where you kind of put it on and you just kind of go with the flow of it.
Yeah.
The cerebral flow, and that's what it is. And I really I didn't realize it till later on, until people started describing it to me that way, and I go, yeah, you're right, And so it's a pleasure to be able to be on people's shows like yourself and you helping to champion my art, and I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you coming by. What is the best way for fans to get the
You
album?
can go on robertfleshman.com,
Okay.
and you can purchase it there.
And then we can find you on social media, like you said,
Yeah,
Instagram.
I'm on Instagram and I'm on Facebook, for years, and so I don't usually the messengers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I kind of periodically peek in.
Yeah.
Because I have to download the app to do it.
Oh, yeah.
So then I download the app and see what's going on, and then I undo the app. But I'll see whatever somebody wants to write or ask questions. I get a lot of questions asking me if I want to sing on their songs.
Oh.
And I don't do that.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's interesting you say that, because I've seen you in other interviews that you've been approached for other like big name bands that kind of needed a singer for hire.
Yeah.
And I wonder, maybe real quickly here, if you could talk about the importance for artists to not take projects that aren't good fits and like
a square peg in a round hole.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I think I think people should be more self-contained. Musicians, a lot of musicians, especially singers, sometimes they rely on the guitar player in the band or something like that. and if you're an artist, I think it dilutes your brush strokes. You're not getting your true brush stroke you're getting a diluted interpretation of what you want, and then you kind of live with it and try to make it try to smooth it out so you're okay with it, but it's really never was really the vision that you pictured that song to be.
Yeah.
So I lived through that, and I just go, I can't do that anymore. I got to do what I want to do, and I want to use the color that I want to use instead of some diluted color of somebody's interpretation of what that color is. So I just think the more that you're self-contained, I think the happier you'll be as a musician.
Very well said, wise words. I appreciate that. My last question before you go is just because I found out you co-wrote my favorite Journey song, "Wheel in the Sky."
Right.
And a stone cold classic, one of the all-timers. Can you take me back in time to how that song came together? Where did the inspiration for that come from?
Funny thing you mentioned that is April 8th was when it was released.
Oh.
In 74. Yeah. So it's been around for 47 years now. I couldn't believe it. Somebody sent me something saying, yeah, the album or the single was released on this day, and that was 47 years ago.
Wow.
I had no idea that they would be still rolling around the globe for that long. It's just
It's truly stood the test of time.
yeah, I guess so, and it astounds me, that it has. When I joined Journey, everybody was giving me lyrics. Can you write a song with this lyric? Can you write a song with that lyric? And they would send me stuff, and it would just be like, I don't like this. It's like this. I don't like it. It's not good poetry. It's not good whatever. So it got to the point where I was like, I got to come up with something, or these guys are going to be pissed off at me. So Ross Valerie gave me a poem that his wife wrote, and I took part of it and developed "Wheel in the Sky" from it. Okay. So, so she had "Wheel in the something," and then we just kind of came up with "Wheel in the Sky keeps on turning," and then I wrote the verses, and so I wrote all the lyrics for the song and wrote the melody. But it was a song that Neil was playing on his acoustic guitar, and then while we were rehearsing, he started playing it on an electric guitar. And I had a mic there, and I just started improvising over it, and it came into fruition.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, that's a truly beautiful song, and in my mind, I can totally hear the evolution from something like that to the music you've put together on this.
Yeah, and then I was hired by CBS to go to San Francisco to play with the band, which the band was a jazz rock fusion band that played 15-minute songs.
Right.
And so when I came in, the record company had, pictured me as the singer-songwriter, and thought, let's put this guy with this band and see what happens. So it was really nerve-wracking on my point because, they're really great musicians.
Oh yeah.
No doubt about it. And here's this kid. I walk in, and it's like now I'm rearranging the furniture.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they're taking it. I don't think they took it well in the very beginning, but they got the gist of it. That this is how to write a song, and this is the format. And now I had to tell Ainsley Dunbar that you have to play 4/4 now.
Oh.
It's like it was kind of difficult, but the good thing about it is that that template was set down, and then when I left the band, Steve Perry was in a band that in a songwriting form band, and he continued that, and so that's what really kept the energy going.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that story. I appreciate it. I want to say congratulations again on this album. It's a really nice piece, and it's presented so well, and it captures the lost art of album presentation. And as an album collector, I love that.
Oh, terrific.
So that's great.
Then I succeeded.
Yes, well done. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, Robert. That was awesome. We are here with Jeanne Basone, aka Hollywood, from Glow. Jeannie, how are you doing today?
Good as you are.
Little frazzled?
Yeah. Whoa. Whoa. No. We're good. I'm good. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
And how are you?
I'm doing well. Have you been doing some other interviews here today at ROCKNPOD?
I did. It's rock strap. I keep wanting to call it jock strap. It's not.
Okay.
You know, and that's with Don Jameson and Keith Roth,
Nice.
which was really lovely. And then my friends Lisa, I don't know what theirs is called. And I get to see you.
Yes, absolutely.
Play that rock and roll.
My only returning guest this year. We talked to you in 2023, which was so much fun. And when we talked, you told me right at the end that you were working on this very book. And so first and foremost, congratulations on finishing it. I know those are a lot of work.
Those are a lot of, it's blood, sweat, and tears, I kid you not, and late nights. You know, a lot of people have dates and they're saying my book's going to be out June. I said that. Okay, it's going to be July. Summertime. And then I had to go, well, now it's going to be winter, but I didn't want to say the date, but I got it on Christmas. So December 24th, 2024, Hooray for Hollywood came out, and I'm super excited because when you get a book like this, it's almost 400 pages.
Yeah.
And you go, oh my God, this is my words. And that's when you pinch yourself and did it. And I think people probably didn't believe me. She doesn't have one. She's just talking, but I am not a talker. I am a doer. So if I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it.
Just like you said you were going to do this podcast.
I did.
All right.
Absolutely, of course. Don't forget about you.
Absolutely. Well, once I've read it, I hope you'll come back for a proper deep dive on it because I'm so curious.
That would be really good. This book is at Amazon. Easy Amazon, Etsy.
Is that the best way to get it?
Yeah, it's easiest if you just go to Amazon.com and look for, or you know what, because there's another platform called Ingram Spark. And I learned this as a self-publisher, that when you list on Ingram Spark, which is here in Nashville, Tennessee, okay, they will have that available so that your mom and pop stores, Barnes and Noble, any of those can go there and say, I want this, and they'll order it for you.
Oh, that's
so
awesome.
I'd like that because I'd love to do some signings in stores, like some local stores. I may go to our Barnes and Noble over here. You guys do local, because some do.
Yeah. Well, brick and mortar stores, I mean, that's a lot of them are having hard times. So it's like, that's awesome.
I think it's a good way to bring people in.
Right. Yes. So support your local bookstores.
Please do.
That's awesome.
We don't want those to go away.
Yeah. No kidding.
No.
So when we spoke last, I remember I asked you what the title was, and you weren't totally sure on that.
No.
Title is Hooray for Hollywood. Wonderful title. Absolutely love the title. When did you think of it, and why was that the right pick?
So I had somebody helping me with some edits.
Okay.
I could go through that, let me know if we need a period here, if this word's misspelled, whatever. And he said, I have a great name. He goes, why don't you do Hooray for Hollywood? And I already knew that the true story of the original Glow Girl was going to be in there. I just didn't know how to put it all together. Is it too many words? Is it too, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what I ended up doing is Hooray for Hollywood. I also wanted to have the font of Fight Club.
Oh, okay.
The Fight Club.
Oh, that's
logo.
Yeah.
So that's what that is. And originally this cover was going to be the front cover.
Okay.
But I was having some issues with the girl that owned this.
Oh, interesting.
At first.
Okay.
All right. And I go, that's fine. I go, so then I went with this from John Abeda, and I asked Ryan, my boyfriend, which one do you like, this or this? He goes, I like this for the cover. So it was colored. This is by John Abeda, by the way, the photographer. And I had Julie Brand, who is the designer for it. I had Julie, who lives here in Nashville, who asked me years ago, let me do your cover.
Okay.
I didn't know at the time why she wanted me, why she said let me, because she has a degree in arts. Anyway, I said I want it to be black and white, and I need my colors, black, pink.
That's
and
right.
She came up with that, and we probably did 18 different
Prototypes, basically, ideas for the
I was
cover.
looking for another word, but
Yeah.
prototype. Yeah, we did. I was going to call them takes. You
Oh,
know?
sure.
Another take. No.
Yeah.
We did 18 different ones till we got it right. It's like the blurb. I have another one too that I should have brought. I forgot to bring it. It's a different colored blurb.
Okay.
I'm still working a little bit with the, even though it's out, but anyway.
Well, isn't that nice about self-publishing? Is
Yes.
that like you can do little tweaks?
You can upload it, and so when I went in and I did an ebook, because there's an ebook of this as well, and when I did that, we found like little a semicolon needed to be here, blah blah blah, and I said, okay, I forgot to add this person, I forgot to add this. Oh, I bet and she was able to do that, and I uploaded it into Amazon or into Ingram Spark. So that's the cool thing about self-publishing. Plus, you don't have someone going, no, you can't have that photo.
Oh, sure.
You can't have this, but the girl here, this is Noelle Rose. She played the second Russian on Glow.
Okay.
When I told her, you know what, I'm really going to have this for a cover or back cover, she changed her tune and said, you know what? She goes, oh. So I said, I'll give you a book, I'll give you credit.
Oh, that's nice.
And she let me use that. And that's the iconic Glow photo anyway that everyone remembers Hollywood.
Yes.
So it had to be on there.
It's good that it's on there. I will say that's a fantastic front cover.
Thank you.
Very striking photo.
I wanted it to catch your attention, and that is why I did it. I didn't do it because, for any other reason than when people see that, they're going to go, what the hell?
Right.
What? And then they're going to go, oh, and they're going to turn over and then read what it's about. Yeah.
Very good. Well, tell us a little bit about what is in this book. I mean, obviously it's your life story, but what can fans expect to read about?
So you can expect a roller coaster up and down, stuff that you didn't know about me. I start part one with childhood, adolescence, growing up. Then I start my audition into Glow and behind the scenes things like that. I want to let everyone know that I did keep it classy, not trashy, because I didn't want that kind of a book.
Right.
I mean, there'll be a little edgy stuff in there. Don't trust me. I am no angel, and I'm not perfect because nobody is.
Right.
And then the part 3 will have everything that I did afterwards. I'll put little tiny, there's some Easter eggs that I put in there. So when I ask a question, the other day I had the book and I had jungle behind me, and I said, do you know what? I go, if you know, wait, how did I say it? I'm trying to remember. I said, if you read the book, you will know why I chose this song. And if you didn't, you need to read it.
Yes.
So it was a 45. It's Bungle in the Jungle by Jethro Tull, and I put the jungle in the background.
Yeah.
I said, and I put that song in there, but that was because that was my first 45.
Oh, cool. Okay.
And little tiny things I'll bring up so that people can kind of. I had one guy go, And it's easy to read.
Yeah.
It's 397 pages, but it's simple, easy to read. There's no $10 words in there. Simple, you get through it.
Accessible.
Very
Yes.
accessible. And part 1 is childhood. If you're not into that, go to part 2 to the whole Glow stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's a great chapter on bullying in there.
Oh.
That's something that I hate, and it happens to all of us in school. It's where it starts.
You're talking about something that is a major reason why people love wrestling so much, is because that's they're vicariously, they watch, bullies get beat up, and
or made fun of.
Yeah.
Races. You're at that awkward stage when you're in 7th, 8th, 9th grade.
Yeah.
And we're all in that stage, and kids are so super mean.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And we didn't even have these things running around.
Right.
Yeah. It's worse. So that's a very important subject to me. So I talk a little bit about it in
That's
there.
awesome.
And then, there's part 3. All the tours, the wrestling, meeting Ryan Cook, who's my significant other for the last 23 years. How things work for us.
Oh, nice.
I do my thing, Ryan does his. We come back home and we're best friends and get to hang out. But then when we've been together too long, okay, when are you leaving again, Ryan will say. No, when are you leaving? But it works very well for both of us.
So it's the whole story. It's from start to where you are now.
There's one more place that I love. You will get some true crime.
Oh, no kidding.
Has anybody ever been on surveillance with FBI and the police?
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right, well that will drive your numbers through the roof. True
That's
crime stuff is
crazy.
super popular. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, yeah, so thank you.
Well, that's exciting. I can't wait to read it.
Thank you, Joe.
When you were writing this book, or maybe before you wrote it, one thing I always love to ask authors is, were there other memoirs or other books that inspired you or gave you ideas on how you wanted to tell your story?
I did a little due diligence, but when Glow ended, I was already writing down
Oh, wow.
stuff, and I'm so happy that I did because there's so many
Yeah.
details that you miss as you get older.
Yeah.
Trust me. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, wait a minute. And then I have my notes, and I'm like, I had the time, the date, PSA Airlines, not Southwest, because there was no Southwest back then.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's good, and I will give you another tip. Do not have too many cooks in the kitchen editing. I learned.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a second, and I'm looking, I go, no, I go, what happened? Because Mac computers are not compatible with, and it was changing shit around. Sorry, it was changing stuff around majorly, so no.
So you had some frustrations.
There's some frustrations,
Yeah.
and then of course I looked at Paris Hilton's book.
Oh,
I
interesting.
took a look at Paris's. I took a look at the time, Prince Harry's book. I think I looked at even President Obama. So I was looking at
Oh,
them.
interesting.
I did, and I looked at them because I wanted to see how they did their chapters, and they did them in parts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I have part one and then the sub-chapters, part two and the sub-chapters. That way you can skip around if you want to.
Yeah. So no other wrestler books?
Not really.
I haven't read too many of them
And I'm glad
myself.
I didn't
Yeah.
because I have my own style.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So really, you know, I knew AJ Mendez had a book out, but
Oh, okay.
you know, I didn't really take anything. I didn't read any wrestler books.
Yeah.
No, mine is going to be, and it's doing well, and I love it. I get really good positive feedback. When you do get it, if you get it at Amazon, I would love a review. You have one. Reviews are great.
Absolutely.
Even if you put it just on your podcast.
Yeah.
Come back. We can review it.
Be sure to give it a thumbs up if you get it.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be anything long. A review could just say, you know what, I enjoyed it. One person goes, I love Jeannie's merch.
Hey, that still counts.
That's okay.
Yeah.
It all counts, so thank you all.
Okay. Well, is there a website for the book where fans can learn a little bit about it?
If you go to my Instagram, which is official Glow Hollywood, if you go to Amazon and click on this, there is a big bio. So you can read the whole bio of something that you like or not like. I have an Etsy store. You'll find that.
Okay.
My Etsy store is Glow Merch. Hollywood Glow Merch.
Hollywood Glow Merch.
No, Glow Hollywood Merch. God, I don't know.
Oh my gosh. So many.
I know. There's official Glow Hollywood, Instagram Glow Hollywood Merch.
Well, I will put that link in the description of this video.
Yeah.
So, congratulations on the book. It is so good to see you again. Once I get through this, I would love to have you back on the show for a deep dive.
And I'll come in for that dive.
Okay.
You better read that true crime part.
I'm excited for that part.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, with that, hooray for Hollywood.
Hooray for Hollywood. Thank you,
All
Doug.
right. Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, that was awesome. Okay. We are here with the legendary A&R man, Tom Zutaut. Tom, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm also doing great. It's good to see you this morning. So, you were at Geffen Records, started back in the 80s, and a couple of years ago, I saw that documentary, The American Masters, about David, and you were involved in that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did they interview for you for that?
Yeah, I did get interviewed for that, and Tom Hanks was the producer.
Okay, nice. How did you think that turned out?
I thought it turned out pretty great. They left some Tesla footage on the cutting room floor, and it seems like every time I do an interview, Tesla gets left out on the cutting room floor. So I always make sure I mention Tesla first now.
Oh, right. Tesla, I dig it.
Tesla.
Yes. Yeah, rock on. Well, cool. Well, I love that documentary because, I think, Geffen is one of the most interesting figures in music history, and you were, working, side by side with him for those years. So, but from what I understand, you got started in the music business at a very young age, before you worked at Geffen. So how did you get started when you were still a teenager, right?
I started at 15.
Wow.
So when I was 13, I started high school, and my high school had an FM radio station. And it was one of maybe 3 high schools in the state of Illinois that actually had an FM radio station. A lot of colleges have the 10-watt FMers, or they did back in the 70s. So it was kind of cool, and we got invited to the college radio conferences. So I went up to the Loyola Radio Conference at Loyola University, downtown Chicago. And at this convention, we were like one of 2 of the 3 high schools. Only 2 of us were there. But all the record companies were there. And so as I mingled, I met all these people from record companies. And even at 13, I had a vast knowledge of music. I read, Circus, Hit Parade, or every single magazine that was out, Rolling Stone. I read them all. And I was obsessed. This is an era people don't understand. There was no internet. There was no Google. Like, it was hard to learn everything. You had to really work hard and get to magazine stands and buy them. And anyway, so the record company folks that were there, they were impressed by my knowledge of music. And that was why, as a freshman, the station manager at the high school, senior, he made me the music director, because he said, we've never had anyone like you. I'm just going to go ahead. Normally, we don't put freshmen in charge of anything, but I'm going to go ahead and make you the music director. So I was introduced to all these people as the music director, and I hung out with them and got to know them. And, the major labels like Alligator Records, Bruce Iglauer was there, and I went to his suite and hung out with him and Hound Dog Taylor. He was plugged up to a pig nose. That man was jamming some amazing stuff. Like, I imagine 13 and you're in this suite in a hotel listening to Hound Dog Taylor, like, just jam out on a pig nose with his guitar. So anyway, I got offered a work-study thing where I could work for the Warner's operation in Chicago. And so I did that, and I did really well in school, so I could, do like 5 classes instead of 7. So I got out around 1, and I went straight to Warner's after school the minute I could drive at 16. But I cultivated those relationships for a year. And you know how they say you start in the mailroom and work your way up? So I started in the mailroom, mailing out records and all that kind of stuff. And then eventually I moved up into doing field inventories. Literally, I went around to every record store in the greater Chicago area, did inventories, so that if a store was sold out of the first Van Halen album, Warner's would know it and they could restock it, because the stores were kind of lazy about inventory. So back then, when we were selling product, it was worthwhile to pay someone to go out and make sure that your catalog was stocked, right? So then they moved me into what they called field merchandising. So that was the coolest job ever. I got to put window displays in all the stores on Michigan Avenue, and I got heavy into punk in 77. And so the Dead Boys were going to play this folk club called The Quiet Night. So anyway, Steve Bader saw Dead Boys displays, and the album had just come out all over town, and he wanted to meet the person who did them. So Warner's snuck me in through the back door of The Quiet Night, because it was 21 and over, and introduced me to Steve Bader's. And the first thing he did was he introduced me to Skafish, who was like a true hermaphrodite, and he made him like pull his stuff down. And it kind of freaked me out. Imagine you're like 16, you've never even heard of a hermaphrodite before. So it was kind of freaky deaky kind of stuff. And then from there, I saw the show. And then after the show, Steve was like, well, why don't you come with me and my gal, back to the Holiday Inn with the rotating restaurant on top. So I went with him back to the hotel, and he's like, now we're going to have some fun. So can you imagine what Steve Bader's idea of fun was?
Probably more fun than your classmates were having about that same time.
Probably. So anyway, he has like Yeah, right here from Tennessee, those Black Cat firecrackers. He's got like, I don't know how many rolls, but it was like a pinwheel, and he unrolled it and he stuck them under the doors of every hotel room on the floor with a long fuse. And he lit the fuse and he goes, let's go in our room. We're going to wait for the Chicago Fire Department to rescue us. And so he lights a fuse, and you can imagine like 10,000 firecrackers are blowing off over 30 minutes.
Right.
It's filled with smoke, the alarms are going off, and sure enough, Chicago Fire Department comes with the masks and stuff, and they rescue us. And as we're leaving the lobby, he grabs like one of the postcards because everybody's evacuated. They're like 10 cents or something, but he grabs one, and we go out to his van to wait for him to clear the hotel to go back in. And he writes, I hope you had one hell of a burn good time.
Okay.
So, that was something that, most high school kids don't get to do. So I felt really lucky that we had that radio station. I met those Warner people. I did those Dead Boys displays because the next thing you know, Stiv has got me in the van and I'm headed to New York to meet Hilly Crystal at CBGB's. And Hilly was always nice to me before he passed, and Rose, who was his main woman that did all the office work there, they were always nice to me. So when GNR headlined Madison Square Garden, in 88, 90, whenever it was, they wanted to do an unplugged set somewhere in New York, and Hilly had the CBGB's basement. So I called Hilly and I said, man, I'm going to hook you up because you've been so kind to me since I was 16 years old and let me in your club, and you let me record my band Fluffy for free. You didn't charge me the 10 grand to bring a truck up and record this punk band from England. I said, so I'm going to give you a GNR Unplugged show in your basement. I said, there'll probably be thousands of people lined up. I know it only seats 300, but we're looking to make a mob scene.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sure that was a special show. So, I think you were having more fun than a lot of your classmates. But when I think back to my days in high school, go to see a movie, that was my fun. You were doing something else. That's amazing. When you got to Geffen, my understanding of that company is that they kind of struggled a little bit at first when you opened the office, and it wasn't until kind of around when you came in and brought more hard rock acts. Is that about right, or was it kind of tough going at first there?
That's accurate in a way, because David Geffen called me while I was at Elektra.
Yeah.
I was in the process of signing The Cure, and I was in the process of signing Metallica.
Okay.
So I made this weird offer to Metallica. They had a lawsuit going and against Johnny Z and Megaforce. So basically,
That was like their first label?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the deal was, I'll give you $250,000 to fight your lawsuit and win, and you'll be obligated to sign to Elektra. And I said, if you lose, you just have to pay us back off your future earnings, right? So it was like a loan that obligated them to Elektra, and if they couldn't get off Megaforce and away from Johnny Z, then they had to pay us back. And so I had all that percolating, and I didn't really want to leave, but David Geffen called me and he goes, I'm going to make you an offer you can't refuse. And I said, okay, what is it? And, we talked. He goes, what's the one thing that's most important to you in your job? I said, to be honest with you, I'm so tired of fighting Elektra for an extra 5 cents a record to do gatefold jackets. I said, you have no idea how hard I had to fight to get that gatefold jacket for Shout at the Devil for Motley Crue, and I believe it broke the band. It was just impressive to open that jacket up. So anyway, I said, I just want 100% creative freedom. I want to sign whatever I want to sign. I want to spend however much on the packaging. And, most of the artists, I'm going to give them full creative freedom, because I've learned that if you bring their creativity to fruition the way they want it, they'll work harder, they'll do more promotion. I said, if you try and tell them what to do, I said, I'm not going to make them co-write with someone to get a hit song. I'm going to make them write till they write the hit. And that's how we got to Sweet Child of Mine. It was a doodle / played at rehearsals. So, that was kind of the crux of the conversation. And then we had to get to the money part. And I said, you do know that I'm going to lose like millions of dollars in royalties in the pipeline if I leave Elektra. And they made me, they're making me a vice president of A&R, and I'm going to run the A&R department. And David says like, hey, we don't have titles, but I'll consider you at like an executive VP level, and you can hire as many staff as you want and like run your own operation within Geffen. And he goes, you tell me how much is in the pipeline and the future pipeline, and I'll write you a bonus check upon signing for exactly that amount, which he did.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. Were you there when he had that big lawsuit with Neil Young, or was that before your time?
I was there.
I think we've heard Neil talk about his side of the story. What was David's side, and what was your opinion on it?
Well, I was kind of caught in the middle because I believe in 100% artistic freedom. So I probably would have let Neil Young do whatever he wanted to get to the next record, right? But David was like, you know what? I've known Neil Young since he was 20 years old. I've worked with him forever, and I'm not going to let him commit career suicide. Right. He was trying to protect him. So, on that level, I understood it. And I want to quickly answer. So I think I did change the dynamic at Geffen Records, because that was your original question. And I know we kind of went off into Never Never Land. But, David literally said to me, he said, look, the team that I brought in, it's not working. You're hot. The music that you love is hot. He said, just bring stuff with you. And I said, well, Metallica won't wait. There's nothing I can do, right? I said, the Cure deal is like in the process of being signed by Robert Smith and the band. I said, you're going to have to compensate me for those, or what I think they're going to bring into the company as part of that bonus check. But I said, I do have a band called City Kid. And I said, they'll wait. And they later, of course, became Tesla. 16 million records sold, and now, I don't know, 1 billion streams or whatever it is.
Great band. Just like Motley Crue and just like, of course, Guns N' Roses, I'm a fan of all of them. You've introduced them to the world, so just as a fan of those bands, thank you so much. And also, thanks for hanging out with me today, Tom. It's really good to talk to you.
Yeah, I love meeting people, so I'm going to grab one of those stickers, and I'm going to return the favor here in a minute. But it was awesome to meet you.
Likewise. Thanks so much, man. This was
welcome.
fun.
Hey, thanks for listening. There's no shortage of great content out there, so you choosing to spend some time listening to this show means quite a lot. If you're so inclined, please give this podcast a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. And share our links wherever you can. Or mention this show to anyone you know looking for a podcast recommendation. All of this helps us out a great deal, and I appreciate it. You can connect with us on social media too. We are at Play That Podcast on Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and even TikTok. Or we are at Play That Rock and Roll on YouTube and Instagram. Please post a comment and say hello. Finally, Play That Rock and Roll is a proud member of the Pantheon podcast community. So if you're looking for more music podcasts beyond this one, trust me, start with Pantheon. You won't be disappointed. Otherwise, I appreciate any and all efforts you take to support us here at Play That Rock and Roll. Be sure to join us next time for more great music and stories from the world of classic rock.